Good afternoon, everybody. It's David from Thetis Creek Farms. Just thought I'd give a little update to the season and how it's going. As you can see, for those who follow us on our Facebook page, things have taken a change for the worse. The last picture we posted was of the hives all wrapped up. About 2 weeks ago, the weather out here was about 11 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, around 50, 52. So I came out here and I was checking the hives and put my hands up against the Reflectix, the silver stuff. You could feel movement from every hive going back and forth, coming out, doing cleansing outside the hives, which was nice. Had a few days of that, and probably about 2 days later, the temperature, it dropped. It's springtime in Manitoba, and it happens. It went from plus 9, 11, dropped down to about minus 10 degrees Celsius. Didn't think anything of it. Well, that was my fatal mistake. So the Reflectix, as you can see, I'll point the camera over here. It's all over here now. When I set it up, didn't realize that there was an opening, I would call it, between the sheets of Reflectix. So when all that snow that was on it melted, that water found its way down into the hive tops, pooled, and then leaked down through the feeder holes. And we went through a cold period there for about a week. And I think it was Thursday of last week. This is Monday, March 23rd, by the way. The weather started warming up again. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go out there. And I think spring's here. I'm going to open up the hives, get the Reflectix off, let the bees get out and get their cleansing flight in. It was warm enough. Came outside, felt the side of the Reflectix. No movement. Okay, maybe they're still balled up. Maybe they're still trying to stay warm, not moving as much. So I ripped off the Reflectix and I opened up the plugs for the feeder holes, and nothing but dead bees. Frustrated, I left it at that. Helped a friend for a few hours, came home. My wife was still at work, the kids were still at school, so I started, as usual, looking at YouTube for answers, and I can't remember her name. I'll look it up and leave it in the comments. She's a beekeeper out of Hawaii. She had just lost a hive, and she was doing a deep dive into why that had happened. Now, granted, I didn't go into the hives and I didn't really investigate, but that got the bug itching. So, came back outside and I opened up the hives one by one. And you can tell by the frames, if the bees are starving, their butts are hanging out of the comb, they're nose deep, they starve to death. It was like a solid sheet of ice from the lid down to the base, bees frozen, and it's heartbreaking because it was a mistake that I made, and my mistake cost me almost my entire apiary. I went through all of them, including the 5 frames. I double stacked them. They were fine up until, like I said, 2 weeks ago. So just a look inside one of the hives that is a dead out. I'm not certain you're going to be able to tell. Put that over there. I don't have my tool with me, my hive tool, so we're just going to take you off the stand here real quick. As you can tell, all the bees, and this was a strong hive, they're just starting to mold now because of the dampness we've had. I don't know if you can tell, but we're looking at about, and they're over here, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'd call it probably 6.5 frames of bees that were alive prior to them getting absolutely drenched. In every single hive, including these ones. I mean, don't mind this, I did that. It was all nice and solid, but they're all gone. Some of these bees down here, you can even tell on this other hive, they were warm, everything was fine, and then just the moisture got them, and they died on top, they died everywhere. And let this be a lesson to everybody else. Make sure that I'll call it gap control, is under control, so that no water can mitigate itself into your feeder tops and down into the cluster, because this is what happens. I got over to this side where you can obviously see there's a beehive missing. And I open it up. It's the last hive I checked. And I opened it up and I took the Reflectix cover from inside off. And lo and behold, there's some bees alive. The colony is not strong. At quick count, I think there was 3.5 frames, 3 to be certain. Covered the lid, or covered the hive again, ran back inside. Now my wife's home, the kids are home. And we had previously, during that first warm spell, made candy boards from David Byrne's recipe. And we had ordered some pollen patties so that going into the springtime, we were ready, we were set, everything was in place, we were good to go. Ran inside, grabbed a pollen patty, grabbed some shards of the candy board, threw it on top, covered them back up with this black cover that you can see, and moved them. I wanted them off the ground, off the pallet, because we were looking for, we were going to get freezing rain, possibly, and rain definitely, so I wanted them off the ground, just in case there was flooding or anything like that. We do have a significant amount of snow left still. And yeah, that's where we're at, as you can tell by the title of this video. And then there was one. So it's not the end. I was really down in the dumps there for a good 6 hours, thinking that I lost everything, and that what do we do now? Where do we go from here? Do we start over? Because we do have quite a bit of equipment, but to go from 5 full hives and obviously our 5-frame nukes to 1 hive, how do we rebuild the business? Where do we go from here? Thankfully, I'd call him my mentor, Dan Lane from Westman Beekeepers. We're ordering 2 more nukes off him this spring. We'll get those probably around the May 2-4 long weekend. I'm going to continue building our surviving hive in hopes that we can clear these boxes out, get these frames cleaned up, and get back into a good position for honey production going into the spring and summer season. So yeah, this is it. We're rebuilding, and I decided that since we're rebuilding from basically ground up, that I would start a YouTube channel, because a lot of the mistakes that I've made over the last 5 years, I started beekeeping in 2018. Those didn't overwinter. I had 2 hives, didn't know what I was doing. I was watching a lot of beekeepers from southern states and figured it, they're insects. They're going to do their thing and they'll make it through the winter. Well, that's definitely not the case, especially up here in Canada. I'd say predominantly the prairie provinces. We've got to go about things a different way. So I'm going to do this YouTube thing and hopefully spread some knowledge that I've learned the hard way to other young beekeepers and up-and-coming beekeepers in the Canadian prairies. So stick around and enjoy the ride. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, share, all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you later. And with the surviving hive, one of the issues with the way that the hive was, its opening was facing, was that's where the predominant winter winds come from. So I was out here a lot all winter digging out the hive entrances. And once again, it was cold. We got a blast of snow. And I didn't realize that the snow had been forcing its way into the entrance of the hive. So when I found them alive, I really had to get that hive tool in there and dig out the snow and the ice buildup. Not sure if you can hear it. If you can, that hive is very much alive still. It's a great sound. Lifts the spirits up quite a bit.